It was delegated to the manager, manager for program integration, who was also serving as the launch integration manager for launch. But I was kept informed and knowledgeable at all times.
Could you explain the process taken to impound data and hardware and stop work at the external tank facility at McCool, and who ordered it?
I asked that for the facilities around the country, I asked that we impound data, that we stop work, and that we determine whether or not there were processes, procedures, or hardware that we wanted to take a look at before we continued to proceed with either manufacturing or production. That was just part of the process. I didn't invent that. It was part of the contingency action plan that we have written down that tells us in these types of circumstances, these are the steps that you take. But we implemented those plans. That was the very first action. Impound the data, preserve the evidence, stop what you're doing, and concentrate on preserving what may be important for the future. We have since taken some steps to start back processing vehicles in Florida. For instance, I told you we're doing the maintenance down period on Discovery. I've asked the teams in Florida to continue to process Discovery. There's nothing in that processing that should hinder our investigation. I've also asked them to continue to process Endeavor, OV-105, so that we can continue to gain in our schedule as far as the work and try to get some things behind us. Try not to keep everything in front of us so we don't have this huge bow wave of activity when we get to the point where we're ready to start preparations for resuming flight. So we have backed off already on some activities. Even at the McCool plant in Louisiana, we have come to an agreement on what hardware will remain impounded and what manufacturing can begin to start up again. And so we're continuing to pull back and to release certain activities, but we're doing it very diligently. We're doing it with knowledge. We're doing it with forethought. And all that is being done with a consensus in the team.
Okay, our final two questions are going to be from Lufkin, Texas, at the Command Center.
This is Joe Varengia from the Associated Press. Can you provide us with an update on the collection and identification of human remains?
Well, as you can imagine, that's probably our most sensitive subject. All I'm going to comment on is the fact that we continue to recover crew remains. And we are handling that process with the utmost care, the utmost respect, and dignity.
This is Fernanda Santos from the New York Daily News. My question is, I wonder whether there are any plans in place to scan the several bodies of water located within the debris field for any debris that may have fallen in there.
We had some reports that some observers actually witnessed large pieces of debris going into a lake or stream, I'm not sure. Certainly we're going to investigate, and whether that means we're going to use divers or any other type of equipment or tools, I don't know yet. That's going to be the call of the mishap investigation team and those people that are located on the scene.
Okay, thanks, Ron. A couple of closing remarks. As I did yesterday, I'd like to pass on the information for folks who may find some items. They want to pass that along to the Emergency Operations Center. The phone number is 281-483-3388. There's also an email address for images that can be sent to ColumbiaImages@nasa.gov. There's also a physical address for any video or larger photographic items. That is the Emergency Operations Center, mail code JA17, Johnson Space Center, Houston, Texas 77058. So please help us out by getting that information out. As Ron mentioned, we will not have a briefing from here tomorrow at 4:30, but headquarters is planning to have one at the same time, 4:30 Eastern Time. There are two memorial services planned this week. The first tomorrow will be from here at the Johnson Space Center. That will be at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, and that will air on NASA television. On Thursday, a memorial service also is planned at the Washington National Cathedral, that too at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and that also will be shown on NASA television. Thank you all for coming.
I think we're going to be confronted with these kind of risk as long as we choose to the path to discovery.
Your reference to Apollo 13, to Apollo 10, not only the dangers that you faced on the EVA, but almost crashing into the surface of the moon. Those kinds of risks, and fortunately and wonderfully for all of us, you overcame those problems. What do you think about the risks and the way in which we all seem to think now of space travel as being without risk? I talked with Dan Golden, who was so proud of the fact that risk, by their estimates of risk management at NASA, have been reduced to about 1 in 200 by their estimate on these launches. Those are still staggeringly high odds of disaster.
You know, we can run all the numbers we want. There's always going to be risk based upon the rewards we seek. You got to understand, this is not a job for the astronauts. It's not a job for the people here at NASA. It's a passion. It's a passion to succeed. It's a passion to go where no man has gone before. It's a passion to do something that's going to have some significant value for humankind. And if we're not willing to take a risk, you know, when I went to the moon, I used to think I was invincible and bulletproof. Underlying that arrogant feeling, if you will, that I think we all had to some extent, we knew that we were vulnerable to a whole host of unknown problems. We trained for all the emergencies. I almost dared something to fail because I knew I could handle it. And underlying that, you know, people say, what would you do if you hadn't been able to get off the moon? And I just sort of, well, we legislated that out. It wasn't going to happen. I didn't go to the moon not to come back. The fact of life, we knew that those kind of problems, the Apollo 13 problem, those kind of things we didn't expect or prepare for could happen, just as in this in Columbia. Even if we had known this on the second day of the flight, there's just not a lot we could have done.
Ron Dittemore talking candidly here, the criticism building almost hour by hour now of NASA management, questions about whether space travel itself is worthwhile, space exploration, whether the United States should be spending this kind of money, and whether the mission that cost these 7 lives was in point of fact worthwhile. Would you give us your reaction to those issues?
Well, I think you know where I come from, Lou. Wrong, 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 wrong. Anything that's worthwhile is worth the risk. The money spent in terms of pennies rather than billions of dollars compared to the other places we spend money elsewhere is insignificant, quite frankly. Every penny has been spent on this earth. We walk through our hospitals, our kitchens, our factories today. You've got more technology under the hood of your automobile than I had to go to the moon. We don't have any choice. Curiosity is the essence of human existence. Discovery. We have an insatiable desire to learn something about the unknown, and there is no greater unknown than this universe which surrounds us. And all that kind of information is quite simply to give us a better life here on Earth. People may not see that directly, but I can promise you it happens. And the thing that I guess bothers me a great deal is, you know, the people are crawling out of the woodwork. I told you so, you know, the what-if people, and I warned you this might happen. We can't change history. We lost 7 human beings yesterday, all who believed, as I think all of us believe, that dreams are worthwhile pursuing. We've lost them. We lost a spacecraft. We're going to find out what the problems are, and we're going to move on. We're going to make those decisions to move forward. Starting to say "I told you so" bothers me immensely. I heard somebody say, Lou, this morning on television, there's an astronaut mafia, and everything ought to be automatic, and if it weren't for the astronauts, this might not have happened. Implied that kind of thing. And I resent that, because the astronauts are engineers, pilots, scientists, technologists, and we put our heart into the design and the development of everything from Mercury right on through shuttle and space station. And we're the guys who fly it. We're the guys who stick our neck out there. We lost seven of our family out there 2 days ago. We're the guys who put our lives on the line because we believe very strongly in what we're doing. And so someone says the astronaut mafia is responsible for some of the problems of safety that we encounter. It's something I resent.
Well, Gene Cernan, we thank you very much for sharing those passionate views. And as always, it is good to spend time with a true American hero. Captain Gene Cernan, thank you.
God bless and thank you.